Hello friends, thank you for joining me today. So I have described myself as a mood reader in the past. And for me, that means that I don't really plan ahead for what I'm going to read most of the time. Basically, every book I own, is part of my TBR. My monthly TBRs are every book that I own, and it all comes down to just what sounds good when I finish a book, and it's, literally time to start the next one. Then I decide what I'm gonna read next. I don't DNF books at this point in my reading journey, and I also don't start and stop a bunch of books left and right. I'm never reading 10 books at once. It just means that I usually don't have a next book already picked out before I've finished the one that I'm currently reading. And I have a few exceptions, basically like the low-hanging fruit for TBRs. Like, I try to read more romance in February, and I like to read horror and thrillers in October. But most of the time I'm kind of aimless in my reading. But a couple friends and I have started having more conversations about books and reading, and it's been really fun. And earlier this year, one of them shared a few different reading challenges that he was thinking about doing over the course of the year, and we ended up kind of deciding to do the same one together, and that was the Beat the Backlist reading challenge for 2023. And I'm really excited. I've only done one other reading challenge before, and that was based off a bookmark that came in, I think, my very first Owl Crate box, or it was one of the first. And the prompts were based off of each letter of the word Owl Crate. I didn't do it with anyone. I just wanted to try reading with a goal in mind, which I had never really done before. And I had a great time, and it got me reading a few things that otherwise might not have been a high priority. I also listened to an audiobook for the first time because of that challenge, and now I listen to audiobooks all the time. It's really allowed me to read even more than I used to. I will link my Owl Crate reading challenge playlist if you want to check out the books that I read for it. I did individual reviews for all of those books. So I'm excited to be doing another reading challenge, especially having friends to do it with this time. And it still lets me mood read, but also gives me some direction and a purpose for what I'm reading when I want to apply that. So I'll put a link on the screen and in the description to the website where you can find all of the information about this challenge, as well as some really cute graphics and tools to help you track your reading if you want to undertake this challenge as well. And I'm not sure who started this challenge. It might be the person who runs the site or the blog at the link that I'm going to put up, but it started in 2017 and is meant to help you get through backlist books. So those are books that are basically not new books, as in not new releases. So ones that you've meant to read for a while, especially in my case. And as with any reading challenge, in my opinion, the rules are made up and the points don't matter. But there are basically 3 rules. The first is that the books must be published in the previous year or earlier. So for this year, it's anything that was published in 2022 or earlier. Rule number 2 is you have to start and finish the book in 2023. So anything that you might have started last year and didn't finish and decide, to finish this year doesn't count towards that. And the third is if you are using the prompts, because you can just choose to read backlist books, if you're using the reading prompts, it's 1 book per prompt. So you can't read a book and say that it fits 3 prompts at once and check off 3 prompts for 1 book. But you do you in the end. If you want to bend those rules, the book police aren't going to come for you. Do what you want. There's no formal sign up or anything. You can just decide to start doing this and do it. It's that easy. There's a 24 prompt list and a 52 prompt list. And my friends and I are doing the 52 prompt one. And there's also a bingo card version as well, which is the one that we are using. And here is how I am keeping track of my reads. So I printed out the bingo card and I just put a sheet of tracing paper over the top. so that I could read the title of the book over the prompt and still be able to see both. And I also wrote them in pencil because there's a chance that as the year goes on, I may need to shuffle things around in order to, fill out as much of the board as possible. And for funsies, I'll just share a couple prompts and what I've already read for them. So one of the prompts is, "It's a trope, your favorite." And the book that I read for that was Dark Rise by C.S. Packet. And one of my favorite tropes is where there is like an evil villain who was defeated in the past but is now threatening to rise again, and the heroes have to stop them. And that is part of the plot of that book. One of the prompts is no romance, and for that I read Feral Creatures by Kira Jane Buxton, which is about a zombie apocalypse from the perspective of animals, and there's no romance in it whatsoever. Another is a book with the letter Z in the title, and I read Eliza and Her Monsters for that, which self-explanatory, it has a Z in it. But also, as an example, that could also fit into a prompt for a book with a name in the title. So it could fit into either of those. For now, I'm keeping it in the letter Z prompt, but who knows, maybe I'll end up wanting to shift it over at some point. And for some of these prompts, I can purposefully pick a book that I know will fit the prompt, but other times I'll read a book and not know exactly what it will have in it. So you'll find along the way as you're reading this year that maybe a book will actually work for a prompt and you just didn't realize it before you read. For example, one prompt is the protagonist has a pet. And it turns out that I read The Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrew, and that fulfills that prompt. It isn't listed anywhere in the synopsis of the book that the main character has a cat. It isn't important to know that going in. There's no way I could have known that, but it just worked out that way. So this year I'm doing a combination of reading books that I know fulfill these prompts and just reading books I feel like reading and being happy if it happens to check one of these boxes. And I just can't wait to see what my friends decide to read for each prompt and see how many boxes we can check off. And I just think that this is really fun, and I've been excited about it, since we started doing it in January. And at the end of the year, I will make a video going over very quickly all of the books I read for the challenge. It would be really cool if I could read 52 books that can fill out this challenge. That would be really cool. So let me know down in the comments if you're doing the Beat the Backlist challenge or if you're doing a different reading challenge. I'd love to talk about it and see how it's going for you. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!